Welcome back, everybody, to the Marketing Rules podcast, and I am joined today by Chris Simsek, a marketing guru, if anybody knows him. But I tell you what, I'm going to let Chris, one, thank you for joining me today, and two, if no one has kind of met you or kind of aware of your work, maybe it's worth kind of giving people a quick kind of little bit of a background about yourself.
Yeah, so, well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. I've listened to quite a few now. They've been quite handy on my commutes into work over the last couple of months, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
But yeah, so I've been in the sort of the sales and marketing sphere on a senior level now for well over a decade. And currently I'm working within the aviation sphere, so quite hardly impacted. Mm-hmm. But a lot of what I've been involved in is taking what I'd call startup marketing departments, elements, and taking them into a mature state to allow companies to see benefit from their marketing rather than just generic, posts on social media to try and up your likes and your followers. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell, really. I've driven my previous companies into some growth, delivering positive revenue returns as well from marketing, which is always good to see. But also looking at new practices and ways of delivering marketing, because I think that's massively changed in the last decade.
So that kind of like marketing startup philosophy, is that you coming on board as a sole marketeer within a department and growing that department? And is that kind of, and everything that goes along with that, kind of building out the different functions in the marketing department, working with the sales teams, etc.?
Yeah, so it's varied. I mean, I was at a training provider many years ago that had a very small marketing element. And when I say small, it was just somebody in the office who did admin that happened to look after a Facebook page. So my role was to come in and grow that into a marketing function. So at first I was that function. And then within 3 months, we brought in a marketing assistant. We opened out additional pages, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, whatever was live at the time, Instagram. I think we even ventured down the routes of Snapchat and WhatsApp. And I think in Chinese markets, we use WeChat. I don't know if you're aware of those sort of funnels. But what we then did is slowly started to build out a marketing strategy of what the company needs and wants, but also, where are we going to get our business and why do we want to market? Mm-hmm. And then off the back of that, we built all sorts. So we had, digital marketing executives. We had mail marketing executives. We then had social media execs. We did PPC, SEO, website optimization. So it grew. And then, with that company, we had a team of 12 that was managing a business that was turning over roughly about 86, almost 90 million, mm-hmm. Which, was a solid return. For the company, but for us from a marketing perspective, I think it's so easy to forget marketing, and it's so easy for people to say marketing is they just do the nice stuff, put pictures out. Yep. In a recruitment world, they just put job adverts out. That's not the case, and I think Resource Group, where I was previously, that was exactly what it was. Let's arrive into a company where they were just posting job adverts. And I know we briefly touched on it previously, but there are only so many times you can see an advert with an airplane on it before you start to realize that you're pumping the same content out over and over and over again.
Well, that's interesting, because one of the things that I think we're going to interesting to touch on is lazy marketing and that kind of that repeat marketing kind of wave. And I know you kind of feel pretty strongly about kind of that's not obviously that's not the way to do it, but also that's possibly damaging what we do as well.
I think, look, lazy marketing is a huge bugbear for me. I think it's very, very easy just to sort of put something on a repeat ad, go onto one of your HubSpots or, one of your sort of content management platforms and just repeat an advert over and over and over again over weeks. Mm-hmm. But I think what that does is it just, I think, sort of degrades the market that you're in and what a marketeer does. Businesses now more than ever need to be dynamic, diverse. They need to do, their attraction campaign needs to be almost sort of the best it's ever been, because people now are a lot more picky in where they're going to work, and who they want to work with. So if we, where I am now at Oakland, we're in a position where we're looking at two sides. We're trying to attract business, trying to attract candidates.
Yeah.
To attract candidates, you need to have the right information, the right content, and it needs to be precise and to the point. With businesses, you need to show them what you're all about, what you've done, wins, successes. This whole just, we can recruit for you and just press a picture of an aircraft, and send. It does nothing.
Yeah.
And that's probably done by the fact that marketing divisions now are getting smaller. And companies think that marketing is an expense that's not needed.
Yeah.
But what they're not realizing is that the damage that's done by lazy marketing is far worse than having a marketing division that's there driving forward.
And do you think something like marketing automation is driving this lazy marketing? The fact that you can you can set something up, press a button, and sit back.
Yeah, I think it's a sign of the times. Everything seems to be going to automation, and everybody wants an easy life. And I hear it now from companies that I talk to that say, "Oh yeah, we've got a system that we just press a button, and over the weekend all our marketing's covered, and throughout the week we get our person to load it all on Monday, and then they don't have to do that." So they do a hybrid role between a bit of marketing and a bit of something else. I think that it is killing it to an extent. I had a lady that I will plug her. Her name's Emma. Was fantastic previously, in my previous company.
Mm-hmm.
She created content, she did the imagery, she did the job ads, she did engaging pieces. And we used to have, as part of our marketing strategy, clear cut sort of areas that we wanted to attack.
Yeah.
And what she did by creating it herself and then uploading it, all right, she uses a system to post it at a specific time.
Yeah.
But she's done the hard work.
Mm.
She's not pre-populated a field, and chosen an image from one of your stock libraries, and then picked it out. But what I found with, especially with Emma's work, was that the content engagement went through the roof. Audience, followers grow. Your followers on LinkedIn, Facebook, social grow because people see something different.
Yeah.
So I think that automation, there is a place. Don't get me wrong. If it helps and supports you, but I think that having somebody engaged and working with you and knowing what is required, it is a paramount need.
Yeah, I think the automation piece can't be creative, and that's what you still need. You still need a little bit of creativity in the background. It can handle
exactly.
the mass mails and the mass send outs and the kind of and crunch you the data as well, which is important. Stuff that as marketeers we don't necessarily want to do, but one of the reasons why we're marketeers is that creativity, is that spark that we can bring into a project, I think.
Exactly. And this is why I think sometimes companies don't realize the importance of hiring the right people. It's very easy to go, can you use HubSpot? Can you use this? Can you use that? And yes, I can. Great. You're perfect for me. Whereas what they should actually have is somebody that can say, yes, I can do that, but I can also, I can work in your InDesigns. I can work with your creative suites. I can do this. I can do that. I think there's nothing more powerful than allowing a marketing person, to be creative, because we're not in marketing just to fill in tick boxes. People go into marketing to help a brand grow. And I think more so now than ever, I think I'll openly say it, marketing's changed a lot since I was first got into it. And Emma at Resource Group really sort of helped me with some of the newer stuff and brought me more into the forefront with that. But what it also allowed me to realize is that old school hands-on approach, there's still a huge market for it.
I suppose maybe the kind of flip side of that, and maybe a slightly kind of maybe a modern approach is kind of marketing advocacy, where you get your teams to act as pseudo marketeers themselves.
Yep.
And maybe that is something that could be to the detriment of the marketing team. Although my argument was you need someone to manage that advocacy and that personal branding piece. But some businesses could fall into a trap where they think, right, well, all of our consultants, for instance, have great personal brands. They've got however many thousands of followers and connections on LinkedIn, which is a bit old school, but you know what I mean? Have got that, and they've got the ability now to market to them, to talk to them, to engage with them. That's what we do. That's our marketing. We don't actually need a full scale marketing department anymore.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I'm, believe it or not, in the recruitment world, it's quite a macho's not the word I want to use, but everybody's like, I've got 1,000+ followers, or I've got 10,000 this, 10,000 that, and I think that's great. And I think that what people have to realize is that network or that profile is that person's, and if they were to up and leave your business tomorrow, that goes with them. Because if they stop sharing any content or stop pushing your brand, that goes.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important that a business has a strong identity of its own and doesn't rely upon its sales guys or advisors or whoever to drive that. It should come from the business and be driven outwards. A resource group, we used to do it all the time, which was we create the content, we create the buzz, and sort of the engagement piece. And then our staff then can put it out as and how they wish to their contacts. And then what you get is like a multi-layered effect where somebody might follow that person, but also follow the company. And, you sort of seeing it 2-3 times. And I know there's age-old sort of myths about if you see something 2-3 times, it sticks in your mind. So that's my point, is that you can't rely upon these people just to drive your brand, because, in this day and age, people aren't lasting very long within companies, So, yeah, I think, yes, individual branding is great, but I think the company still has the onus to drive that.
And it's interesting we talk about LinkedIn, because again, I know you've kind of got a few kind of some strong feelings on how recruiters use LinkedIn. I'm quite a big fan of being able to personal brand on LinkedIn. I think that me personally, I've probably got a better brand on LinkedIn than I have than ThinkinCircles has, in all honesty. But they're indistinguishable from my point of view, and I guess that's really where you want to get to with your consultants, where it's Chris from X company, it's Boom from X company, but you have the autonomy to kind of engage and do your own thing.
Yep.
And post and do all the things that LinkedIn want you to do beyond actually posting lots and lots of jobs all the time, because it's kind of, they don't really want you doing that anymore. They want you to use it like Facebook.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. And funny enough, we were talking about in the office this morning about, has LinkedIn slid that way? Is it going a bit more what we call social media? However, LinkedIn still has massive positives. From my perspective, I think you're right.
I think that's a positive. I think it's kind of going in that direction. It is a positive. I think we can if we can get away from it being too kind of so sales focused. I think that's because LinkedIn has Sales Navigator, etc. If you want to do that stuff, you've got your tools to do it. But the actual main site, I think it's a different thing.
I think there's two things there. I think you're right, because look, you choose to accept a connection from somebody. So that nine times out of 10, when that connection request comes in, you see their job, you see what they're doing, you accept that they're going to, at some point, engage with you, potentially, whether that's sales, whether it's, whatever it is. And I get that. And you know what? I think it's great, because you shouldn't ever shoot anybody down, because everybody is just trying to move forward and work and do something. I think the personal branding on LinkedIn is super important. And it's something that I've only really engaged in the last sort of 12 months, really, because I've always used it almost the opposite of what you said. Where you said it's Chris from, I've always been, well, I work for X, so I am X. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas now, in actual fact, what I've realized is, do you know what? Irrelevant of wherever I go, I'm still me. And I'm still, I have the experience that I have, and I have the background that I have. And only on Friday did an old client phone me to say, I know you can't help me because you're not in that sphere at the moment. However, can you shed some light on something? And that came off me posting stuff in my own, sort of off my own back, stuff that I like and enjoy. And they thought, oh, he's still involved. Great, we'll have a chat. And that personal brand, I think, is valuable now. However, I think the touch point is that your personal brand, I mean, for you, I guess it's quite interesting, because you've got ThinkinCircles on one side, you've got yourself, a few other bits, so you've got to sort of play a fine line. But for a lot of individuals, they're employed by a business, and they probably don't see the value in having their own brand, but associating that brand with the business they're with at the time.
Yeah, I think it's a fine line. There's definitely a a kind of a learning that some people have to go through, and I think that's partly down to if they're comfortable at the business they work at. If people are enjoying what they do and they're comfortable with the business they work at, then they're more than likely to extol the virtues of working at that business. And I think that's where advocacy and kind of personal branding really kind of comes into play. But that's not simply nurtured by the person itself. It's the business that has to nurture that. It has to come from the business in the first place, and it has to be quite kind of driven from the top to the bottom and back up again, basically. That's how I see kind of personal branding on LinkedIn, I think.
Also, it depends on what you're looking to get out of LinkedIn, you know, and I think you touched on it before about some people are just in it to sell.
Yeah.
You know, and some people are in it to use it as a recruiter tool or as a market, you know, for business branding. I think the issue at the moment is that companies and people, the investment between the two, I think, has got muddied, where, you know, 10 years of people working businesses are shorter. So people are finding it harder to get engaged. You know, I don't know whether I can say it or not, but my wife, you know, works at British Airways, and they did a huge customer piece where customer engagement and then what they call a staff engagement, where they brought all their staff together at a big event, you know, did a big We Are BA, and they really sort of instilled it in them to be BA and be brand ambassadors. And she came away from there really bought in, and she's been there 10 years. But some of the younger guys and girls that are there, been there a year or two, were like, yeah, you know, I'm just here for the flying, and I might travel a bit, and when I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
But, you know, the point you make is, you need to make sure that what you're doing is aligned with the business. But BA did the right thing there. They engaged them, they gave them the opportunity, so that when they put out the marketing, they can hopefully engage.
Well, it's kind of the crossover between your employer brand and then your the personal brands of your employees, isn't it? That's where there's an overlap at that point.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I mean, as a company, you're selling to your employees what you're about, you know, and what they should be proud of, you know, and vice versa. Then they sell that onwards, but also then the company has a job to then sell that to their clients and potential customers to say, this is what we're about, you know, and you can see that being enacted by our staff.
Yeah. Well, they say, isn't it, you know, your staff should be your best customers, isn't it? So
no, I've heard many over the years, and this is, you know, I've been in front of CEOs that have said, we don't need a marketing division because, you know, the salespeople and the, you know, the ops guys, they'll market for us, and vice versa. You hear, I don't need a sales function because everybody should sell.
Yeah. But it's not true.
No, not at all.
So let's pick up on a few things that I've been talking about on LinkedIn, and I know that you've kind of chipped in as well, which has been handy. So I was interested in the sales and the marketing functions, and I've talked to a few people about this recently. And one, is there a difference? Are they now the same thing? And do as marketeers, do we look down on the salespeople, and do the salespeople look down on the marketeers? And where's this kind of difference now? Is that old hat thinking, or is that kind of still the case, do you think?
I think there's a couple of points in there which are really good. I think everybody looks down on sales and marketing. I think sales think marketing is really easy, and marketing thinks sales is really easy, you know, and vice versa. Then the business thinks, well, they're both really easy. I don't know why we're spending so much money on it. I think that it's a difficult position to be in at the moment because there's an ever increasing demand on marketing to give ROI. You know, this return on investment, there's got to be return on investment. And I think that you've got to be very careful with marketing because there are going to be some things that will not give you a return on investment, but are really, really important. You know, if you want to go out there and do mail campaigns and you want to go and do, you know, PPC or call to actions and things like that stuff will drive business, you know, but like when we did a website refresh, you know, we built a whole brand new website for the company to make the customer journey easier. There is no ROI on that because, you know, how do you pin a number on that? And the point I make is, from a marketing perspective, your brand has got better. You know, it's easier. Customer experience and journey has got easier. And yes, that leads to more sales. But the point I make is that you can't pin a number on it to begin with. And I think that gets lost because people assume marketing have no care for sales, and sales have no care for marketing. They both need each other. Marketing is what drives your exposure of your company, your brand, will give you leads, will give you inbound business.
Yeah.
I think, and sales need to appreciate and understand that, that there is a lot more technical effort that goes into marketing than just flicking something out.
Yeah.
And also, then I think vice versa, sales need to use that as a way to get in front of customers, and help get marketing to support them. We used a platform that was fantastic as a CRM that you could input customers' social media channels into it. So then when you open their account on the CRM, it would show you what their current activity is. But also then our marketing division would see that and say, right, so, such and such an airline is engaged in this, and this. Well, funny enough, we've got a post coming out, so we'll make sure that we tag them in that. And, do you see what I mean? So there is a need to work together. But
well, that neatly leads me into the next kind of piece, which is about account-based marketing, which is something I've been a big advocate for at least 3 months.
Right. Okay.
I'm fairly new to it, account-based marketing, but since I've kind of I really run with it. I like the idea. Within recruitment, it's not something we do a lot of, but everything you've basically described is how you go about an account-based marketing campaign. Is you've got your sales and ampersand marketing all working together and aimed at a target, basically.
Yeah. I think that's the easiest. I mean, the best way I can put it to you is this: at the moment, business is tough, and I think that you've got to be different, but you've also got to be focused. And I think that account-based marketing works a dream. We've just only today, last week, we proactively targeted a couple of customers that we thought we really want to work with, made sure that, our marketing was precise for them. It was showing them what they wanted to see and what they might be looking for, as well as then the sales team talking, with their business, trying to get things. And today we've just agreed terms with a client based on the fact that we told them that we could do X. They then saw the marketing coming through saying that we can do X, plus, some white papers, a couple of success stories, and that kind of stuff. And what that helped me to do then is to see, well, actually, do you know what? As a business, there is mass worth in this, And I don't know how you find it, but with a lot of companies, they will do business with a client in silos, but not with all of the company.
Yeah.
And what this has allowed us to do is open out other divisions with inside companies, other market spaces, because we've got to diversify to ensure that, we're still here.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, recruitment is a little slow in its uptake on most things generally, whether it's business models, whether it's technology, and working in silos is the kind of is an old hat kind of example of what tends to happen. Even recruiters are even working the same vertical, not wanting to talk to each other because they don't want to share leads, share commission, etc. And I think the quicker we can kind of move away from that within recruitment, the better. When you can get to a stage where everybody understands the value of everybody else, pushing in the right direction.
Yeah, I think another valid point you make there about recruiters is I feel like recruitment does get a bit of a bad sort of rep. I think it is changing, and don't get me wrong, there is a lot out there that is, questionable with their methods and the way they work. But I think you've only got to look at the brands that have been around a while, that are working hard. You see that their marketing will show what they're about, and their effort will show what they're about. And I think recruitment's starting to go away from this 50 calls a day, you've got to hit this many contacts, you've got to get jobs on, send out 1,000 CVs, a minute or whatever it was, to now it's a lot more consultative, how can I help you? How can I do this? And I think this is where the whole mindset of sales and marketing will change in recruitment, I think, in this. And that's one positive that will come out of COVID is that you can't afford to be, throw as much at the wall as I can. If it sticks, fantastic.
Yeah.
Whereas now, quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And I think, companies, I don't know whether it's right or wrong, but some businesses in recruitment are thriving in this.
Yes.
Why not? Fantastic. Fair play to them for getting what's the word, on the horse quick enough to see that they need to change. And I think you're right. The old hat recruitment way is probably not going to survive in this sort of period.
And I'm glad you mentioned about recruitment consultants being more consultative. I mean, it's one of the things I have bashed on about with the businesses we work with for a long time is don't call them consultants if they're not going to be consultative. And that's their recruitment sales at that point, not necessarily recruitment consultants. And I've always believed that they should be much more consultative. And yeah, of course, it's a sales function. You can't get away from that. But there's definitely the reason why good consultants work really well is because they understand their markets. It's not that they've necessarily always got the gift of the gab, but they understand the market and who they're selling to.
Yeah, I think at the moment, people are buying relationships and they want to be, with somebody who they feel is invested, in their business. And, I've just been through, and I know we discussed before we went on air that, I've just been through redundancy and, no bad feelings towards my previous company, fantastic company and what they do. The clients are amazing. I've come across to my new business that I'm with now, and all the old clients are, reaching out, want to, wish you well. And the point I make is that, and I guess this does go back to personal brand as well, where this consultative approach works because people know that if you're going to work with them, you're going to give them, an honest and thoughtful product and service. Whereas, if I was to go down the old recruitment way, you just wouldn't get that.
Up until a few years ago, I still had recruiters telling me they still wanted to work from Rolodex.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So here's a question for you. I'll flick it back to you.
Okay.
So I got asked on Friday, do you think the business card is dead?
Yes, I do. I think the business card is dead. So if I got, I think something like 500 business cards kind of created when I started the business. That was 8 years ago. I've still got some of them because I just end up not giving them. I forgot to take them anywhere. I didn't take them. And coming back to our old friends at LinkedIn, everyone I meet, our core audience is on LinkedIn. So you either can look them up on LinkedIn, or you can do the clever thing where you scan their QR code on the app and stuff like that. So yeah, it probably
only because we had somebody come for an interview last week with a big book full of business cards, and you just think to yourself, crikey, me especially, I don't even have a business card anymore. No. Because, I went to an event just pre-COVID where somebody I was talking to all of a sudden just airdropped me their business card, and things like that are just, so, like you said, it's just moved forward. So I think the Rolodex era is coming to an end.
Thank God.
Although I am sad.
Maybe I don't know. We can save the planet one business card at a time if we can move away from that. I think.
Let's start the motion now, shall we?
Yeah, to ban the business card. Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. Thank you for joining me. It's been insightful, and I'm sure everybody listening is going to be able to take something from this.
No, I really appreciate it. It's been good fun. Thank you.